The industry is full of a bunch of dick-sucking, dick-riding, bending over the desk ass niggas, straight up like that.
That's paying DJs to play their shit.
Right.
And, you know what I'm saying? They sucking the record label executives' dicks, and it's like there's too much of that going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let me be me. Let me be the artist that I am and just play my motherfucking music. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. You know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job. But I'm not scared of being the competition. Yeah, on paper, they're a better team. They have all the assets and resources that we don't. But let us get on the line, boy, and see if that factors in. I guarantee you it won't. All of these shortcut takers, they canceled me for talking about Harvey Weinstein before the thing came out, but he offered to suck my in front of all my people at my agency. I told him no, what y'all do? And this is why when I walk in a room, heads go down. Behind my back, I'm nothing. I'm just a regular old comedian, but in my face, no, no, no. The king has walked in and they have to respect it only because I'm not taking the shortcuts. They pay you to not talk about things they don't want you to talk about.
There's something chilling about the way DMX used to talk about the music industry. Something that hits different now that so many dark secrets are starting to spill out. For years, people called him paranoid. They said he was unstable, broken, addicted. But looking back at the things he said, really listening, it's clear he was trying to warn us. And now, years after his death, it's Cassie, yes, that Cassie, who is reportedly telling her truth in court. And in doing so, she's bringing DMX's name back into the spotlight in ways that no one expected. Because it turns out she's not just speaking on what Diddy allegedly did to her, she's talking about what she witnessed him doing to others, including DMX. And suddenly, a lot of those old interviews, lyrics, and outbursts are starting to make sense. You see, DMX never wanted to be part of the machine. He always said, "I'm not an industry artist, I'm an artist in the industry." That wasn't just a cool bar, it was a warning, because being an industry artist meant you played by their rules. You went to their parties, you did their favors, and you stayed quiet about what you saw. But DMX refused to play that game. And for that, he paid the price. People thought he was just beefing with other rappers. But it wasn't just music drama, it was spiritual warfare. The kind you don't talk about unless you're ready to lose everything. But now Cassie, who spent years trapped in that same world, is reportedly confirming what DMX was trying to scream from the shadows. According to court transcripts that are now surfacing, Cassie didn't just talk about herself during testimony. She painted a picture of a world ruled by fear and submission. She mentioned artists who had been mistreated, broken down, and tossed aside when they didn't comply. And DMX's name came up more than once. Allegedly, she recalled a conversation where Diddy mocked DMX, called him a liability, said he was too wild to be controlled. But it gets darker. She also reportedly said that she saw Diddy talk about humbling X. That word again. Humble. A word that keeps coming up when people talk about what goes on behind the scenes in this industry. But what does humble mean in that context? Because it doesn't mean coaching. It doesn't mean helping. In this world, humbling someone can mean isolation. It can mean blacklisting, or worse. And when you go back and watch old footage of DMX, his eyes, his energy, there's something behind the rage. Something like fear. Not fear of people, fear of a system, fear of something he couldn't name out loud. And maybe that's why, when Diddy allegedly tried to bring him into his circle, DMX said no. In one resurfaced interview, X said Diddy tried to poach him from Def Jam. Promised him more money, more fame, more everything. But DMX turned him down. He said he had a bad feeling. And now, with everything that's coming out in court, that gut feeling might have saved his life. Back in the day, there were whispers. People said DMX didn't like going to industry parties, that he stayed away from certain studios, that he didn't trust the big names. Now we know why. Because those places weren't just about music. They were about control. And Cassie is finally confirming that those whispers were real. She's allegedly telling the court that some artists were invited to private events where the real transactions happened, where deals were made in silence, where favors weren't always optional. She didn't name everyone, but she did say that some artists walked in and never came back the same. And DMX, he refused to go. In fact, there's an old interview where DMX talks about turning down dinner invitations. He said, "Let me give you the music. You give me the money. I don't want to sit at your table." At the time, people thought he was just being difficult. But now, it sounds like he was protecting himself from something sinister. And then, there's the Arizona story, one of the most cryptic things DMX ever said. He talked about watching the sunrise and thinking it was God's country. But then he said, "I met the devil in God's country." He didn't name names, but he said the devil came to him 3 times, offering him something he refused. DMX believed in spiritual warfare. He didn't say the devil as a metaphor. He meant it. And if Cassie's testimony is true, maybe that's exactly what he was facing, a devil wearing a record executive's smile. He said it himself, "The industry don't give a damn about you, but they can't make a dime without you." That line hits harder now, because if the industry was really protecting people like Diddy for this long, if they were silencing people like DMX and Cassie, then what else have they covered up? And here's where it gets even deeper. Cassie allegedly told the court that DMX wasn't just blackballed, he was targeted. She claimed there were conversations about keeping him off the radar, cutting ties, blocking radio play. Not because he wasn't talented, but because he was too honest. Think about that. One of the greatest rappers of all time, pushed out not because he lost his edge, but because he wouldn't sell his soul, because he wouldn't show up to parties, because he refused to bend, and they hated him for it. Now, fast forward to today, Diddy is under more fire than ever before. Lawsuits, allegations, raids, witnesses, and people are starting to revisit everything. Old interviews, leaked tapes, comments that didn't make sense before suddenly make perfect sense now. And in that mess, DMX's words are being resurrected like prophecy. He said, "Test the wrong one in the industry and you will get hurt." And he wasn't kidding. Cat Williams said the same thing. And look what happened to him. Arrest after arrest, his kids taken, his name dragged through the mud. Sound familiar? Because that's the blueprint. When you speak up, they ruin you. When you stay quiet, they reward you. And if you're too big to ignore, they erase you. But not anymore. Because now the voices are getting louder, the evidence is stacking up, and the masks are falling. DMX was never crazy, he was never unstable, he was just ahead of his time. And now, thanks to Cassie's testimony, the world is finally catching up. So, what do you think? Was DMX really scared of Diddy? Or was he just brave enough to see him for what he really was? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't miss what we're exposing next. Because this story, it's just getting started.